In this section, we will be introduced to problem solving. First example, 5 less than twice a number is 17. What is the number? First thing we want to do is we want to take this sentence and turn it into a mathematical equation. So let's break it down. We have 5 less than something. So what is that something? It's 5 less than twice a number. Now a number, since we don't know what it is, we can use any variable like x. Twice, it means 2 times. So twice a number is going to be 2 times x. Now 5 is less than twice a number, which means our expression will be 2x minus 5. 5 less than something. What's that something? It's twice a number. So it's 2x minus 5. Is translates to equal to 17. Now what is the number? Let's go ahead and solve this. We would add 5 to each side. That will give us 2x equals to 22. Divide each side by 2, giving us x equals to 11. Now let's verify. Is 5 less than twice 11 actually 17? So 2 times 11, 5 less than that is 22 minus 5, which in fact is equal to 17. Here's another example. 2 consecutive numbers add to 75. What are the numbers? Well, first of all, what are consecutive numbers? Consecutive numbers are numbers that follow one another. For example, 4 and 5, or 10 and 11, or 19 and 20. Notice that the second number is always one more than the first number. So if we didn't know what the first number was, the second number can be written as one more than the first, which is x plus 1. So consecutive numbers can be written as x and x plus 1. The second number is always one more than the first. Now, these two consecutive numbers add to 75. So if the first number is x, the number that comes consecutively after that is going to be one more than that, which is x plus 1. And their sum, because you're adding them, is 75. Okay, let's solve this equation. If you combine our like terms, x plus x is 2x, plus 1 equals to 75. Let's subtract 1 from each side. 2x equals to 74. Divide by 2, and x is equal to 37. Now, let's check to see if this is correct. If the first number is 37, the number consecutive to it will be 38. And 37 plus 38 is in fact equal to 75, which means we did this correctly. So the numbers are 37 and 38. The numbers are 37 and 38. Always answer the question. Next example. The length of a rectangle is 4 centimeters more than twice the width. If the perimeter of the rectangle is 44 centimeters, find the length and the width. Now, first of all, if you look at a rectangle, this is the length, this is the width. The perimeter is a distance around the rectangle. So the perimeter is given by, you have 2L's, so 2L plus 2W. That's a formula for perimeter of a rectangle. Now here's what we know. We know the length of a rectangle is 4 centimeters more than twice the width. So if we let W equals to the width of the rectangle, then the length of the rectangle is going to be 4 more than, so 4 more than twice the width, 4 more than 2W. Or we can rewrite this as 2W plus 4. Now, here's what we know. We know that the length is 2W plus 4, and the width is W. So let's plug this in. The perimeter, which is 44, equals to 2 times the length. The length is 2W plus 4, plus 2 times the width. The width is just W. Let's solve this equation. We distribute the 2, so we have 44 equals to 4w plus 8 plus 2w. We then combine our like terms, so 44 equals to 4 plus 2, which is 6w plus 8. We now subtract 8 from each side, giving us 36 equals to 6w. And if we divide both sides by 6, we would get w equals to 6. Now, once we know that w equals to 6, that's only part of the question. The question is saying find the length and the width. Here's what we said. We said the length is 2w plus 4. So if w equals to 6, then the length is going to be 2 times w, which is 6, plus 4. So the length will be 12 plus 4, which is 16. Now, before we write this in a sentence and box our answer, let's see if this is correct. Let's say we have a rectangle where the length is equal to 16 and the width is equal to 6. What would its perimeter be? We would add 16 plus 16 and 6 plus 6. 16 plus 16 is 32. 32 plus 6 is 38. 38 plus 6 is 44, which is exactly what the perimeter should be. So the length is 16 centimeters. Don't forget the units. And the width is 6 centimeters. Once again, don't forget the units. Next example. 2 trains leave a station at the same time. One travels north at 65 miles per hour and the other travels south at 70 miles per hour. After how many hours are they 540 miles apart? When we talk about a problem involving uniform motion, in which case we have these 2 trains traveling at a constant rate, we will use the following table. Rate times time equals to distance. Okay, so now let's see what we have. We have 2 trains. So I'm going to say this is train 1 and this is train 2. One travels north at 65 miles per hour. So the rate of the first train is 65 miles an hour. The other travels south at 70 miles an hour. So the rate of the second train is 70 miles an hour. After how many hours? So the question is, after how many hours? So we're going to say let t equals to the number of hours. That's what we're looking for. Therefore, this is our variable. So the time will be t and t. Now, for the distance, you never want to put a numerical value in the last column. The last column should always be the product of the first and second column. So this is 65t, and 70 times t is going to be 70t. Now here's what's going on. You have one train that travels north, and the distance traveled is 65t. The other train travels south, and the distance traveled is 70t. Now the question is, after how many hours are they 540 miles apart? So the distance of each train isn't 540. Their collective distance from one end to the other is 540 miles. So to set up the equation, we would add the distance that the first train traveled plus the distance the second train traveled, and that distance is equal to 540. So we would say 65t plus 70t equals to 540. Now let's go ahead and solve this. If we combine our like terms, we have 65 plus 70, which is 135t. That equals to 540. Let's take 540 divided by 135, and this will give us t equals to 4. Now, since t represents the number of hours, we know that after 4 hours, the trains are 540 miles apart. Let's check to see if that's actually correct. If the first train travels at 65 miles per hour and it travels for 4 hours, then the distance traveled by the first train is 65 times 4, or 260 miles. The second train travels at 70 miles an hour, for 4 hours, so the distance traveled by the second train is rate times time, or 280. If we add 260 plus 280, that does give us 540. So the question is, after how many hours are the 540 miles apart? Your answer would be, after 4 hours, the trains are 540 miles apart.